We'll start where we started yesterday, but hopefully we have the whole arsenal of yesterday, so we can go straight forward. On the top of page 10, we said that the sechel, by the nature of sechel, must have a hagbola. We discussed this quite extensively yesterday. That although sechel in essence is oir, and oir is not built of walls, it's not built of structure, but there is a hagbola how far the oil reaches, where that oil illuminates and makes sense, which we discussed yesterday. Mishu chochem godel, the greater the chochem, shemevin ho'in lamitose yeser leomke yeser. He understands the Ayin to a greater depth. Yuchal yispashit beyeser. Thus he can then broaden it out and show how this encompasses a broader spectrum. But in any case, no matter how great the chochem is, no matter how deep sechel goes, it must have the Ayin for hagbola, an end, a definition. And behainu, and that is lihiyoy soy oil pnimi be'etzem, because that it is an oil pnimi. Pnimi means that it is an oil that imbues itself into a keli. It is not an oil that stands on its own. In essence, this sechel is an oil pnimi, an oil that seeks to be contained and seeks to be recognized in a keli. Al keim bo b'hagbola. Thus, it comes forth with hagbola with a definitive presence, so that it can be grasped and it can be recognized. As we mentioned many times, that if you want to grasp something, you grasp it by its outer dimensions. If you want to take a table, you can't take it from the top of the board. You can pick it up from its external limits, from the dimensions. Without dimensions, you can't grab anything. Sechel is an oipanimi, which means that it is meant to be grasped. Therefore, it means it has to have dimensions. It has to have borders. And this Inyan, that sechel is an oipanimi, and therefore it has dimensions, is an inherent part of sechel. This is not something that occurs when you are looking at the sechel as an outsider. This is the Inyan of sechel, that it should be graspable, it should be able to be identified. thus the sechel in essence, it comes by body. In other words, what we are pointing in the whole lengthy discussion raised for quite some time is that this inherent limit definition of sechel originates in the nefesh itself. This is why it's called nefesh koiler koiches. It already has the inyan that aspect that will tend to be nislabish. Alkim boba hagbol. I said every time you touch on something, there's multiple discussions, but we discussed this quite extensively yesterday, and it will still be reintroduced. The gam bo b'chinas is chalkus. Then furthermore also, sechel has the element of his chalkus. His chalkus means subdivisions. Shaharei, since that, it's obvious that kol inyan sichli yesh bei kama protim. Any inyan sichli contains kama protim, many details, many components, many parts. Shaloi absolutely is inyan sichli, which means that it is impossible that there should be an inyan sichli. Shaloi yeboy protim. That would not be, but that would not contain protim. That would not contain details. And in each detail, this is the paramount statement over here. Is that me? Oh, I forgot to call. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to call dial in. Okay, you can listen to this. And every detail of the sechel Eino idoima oil ha-sechel ha-moyer bay. The oil ha-sechel that illuminates this detail is different than the other one. This still remains to be discussed. So far we are saying that the protim, the various aspects in the sechel, each prat is part of the sechel, and each prat has an oil ha-sechel that is slightly different than the other part. We still need to discuss this. The hay, and these differences are b'chinas pnimis v'chitzenius. The differences are based on the principle of what type of oil sechel is brings out this particular product. Is it from pnimius or chitzenius? Behind, which means that in one aspect of the sechel, there the sechel is more bright. And that would be excuse me, the pnimis, the deeper, and the depth of the sechel. And another aspect of the sechel, there, in that prat, the Eir HaSechel is not present with such a great intensity, with such a great Pnimius, which has a great grasp. This whole statement that every prat in sechel has an element of oir. This is very elusive from our perspective. And the reason is that to us it appears that the whole phenomenon of limits and the definition is only for the purpose of being able to identify the sechel. In contrast, the real meaning of these details is not to identify, but to relate to the sechel. So that the sechel makes sense and it illuminates, it opens up a certain perspective. At this point, we should really go to a muscle, a more meaningful muscle. But nevertheless, we started yesterday, and we can continue with the same thing because this is so obvious and so simple in our lives. The human element in human activity. The principle, the ultimate principle of the human element in the human activity like we mentioned yesterday, the Rambam says that HaChocham Niker, the Chocham is recognizable in every one of his activities, whether it is how he talks, how he learns, how he communicates, how he eats, how he sleeps. What is the underlying element of this that the Chacham can be identified, can be recognized from that perspective? And in each one, of course, clearly is in a different manner. What is the principle behind the human element? Like I mentioned yesterday, some people in our world have taken the human element and they have imitated it, totally on the chitzonistic level. If you eat in a certain way, you become human. The Germans in Machshmam, when they started campaigning against Eden, the first thing that they attacked, they said, by Eden, they're not clean. Eden are not clean. Eden, you come into a shul, you could have on the floor all kinds of things because They don't. This is not part of. This is not part of their lives. This is not the essence of their lives. Because they're into different aspects. The halacha states about cleanliness also. But all aspects of the human principles, the human aspect, by us comes from a different base. It is not, if you clean, that makes you human. They were very clean, these animals, and they were not human at all. They say that Mengele, the murderer, the mass murderer, he should stand there with white gloves. And he directed people to the gas chamber and to labor. What is in essence the principle? And Ram said that this is the Chocham. The principle of Chocham, so we learned recently in Tanya, the principle of Chocham is that the Chocham, the first principle of Chocham is that he recognizes that what is the truth of all existence. The truth of all existence is the godly truth. The first thing of the first distinction where the human being is distinguished from the animal is that the human being recognizes that he is a creation, a purposeful creation. He's not here just because he happens to be here. Since he is here for a purpose, he is here with a certain design, therefore, that the intent of his designer has to be recognizable in every one of his activities. Like we said yesterday, we mentioned in the story, I eat so that I can live. If I eat so that I will not be hungry, it does not represent your creation at all. It represents your experience in the world. It does not have the creator element. Where do you recognize that this is a creation with intent, with meaning? Is that his focus is on his life, on what the creator put into him. I eat so that I would live. If I eat so that I will not be hungry, completely dissociates from this principle that he's a creation and has a creator's point, principle. He becomes part of the world. So, the essence, the deepest principle in this whole thing in the human quality is that he is certainly is cognizant and aware that there is a reality to life. Yes, I'm hungry, but that's not the criterion for eating. The criteria for eating is because it's needed for the neshama, for life, for being a human being. Therefore, when it comes to eating, he does not forget as to who he is. The body has no difference. Eat from the floor. As long as you fill my stomach, I'm happy. But that's not human. So that's not human. It's losing sense of who you are. It's losing sense for what we call self-respect, And the self-respect is due to what has been imbued and invested in your creation. This extends to everything in a human. Found the story that the Rebbe told. That the Alter Rebbe, somebody gave the Alter Rebbe a tabak pushke, a
snuff box.
A snuff box. The snuff box was a valuable piece of silver, and the cover to it was polished silver, which served very well as a mirror to adjust the film. The Alter Rebbe wanted to have that cover independently, separate from the snuff box. He didn't need the snuff box. So he wanted to take the cover off. So somebody mentioned it. That's myself. That's on the story. Somebody mentioned. So the Alter Rebbe broke off the cover. So the Alter Rebbe doesn't break anything. Why not? Who you respect in the box? There's not. A human being invested a lot of wisdom and effort in building this box in a certain way, in a respectable manner. Out of respect to all this effort and all the wisdom that went into this building, you don't break it. You take it apart in a manner that does not show and that does not destroy it. The Alter Rebbe took out the holdings, the stick, the pin, and then he had this. To that extent, this is to that extent we have to recognize that there is a creator. In everything there is. The human being has wisdom because he was given wisdom. Because that's how he was created by the Creator. This is a godly gift. Out of deference for his Creator, he recognizes it in every one of his activities. This is the underlying meaning of human respect. Like we mentioned many times, the animal is a living body. He also has life, but it's a living body. The life is there only to give life to the body. The human being is life in a body. For him, life is the principal presence. But this life functions in a body. This is why we pointed out when we talked about the difference between the chayes that's in the foot and the chayes that's in the hand. The chayes that's in the foot is basically a chayes that maintains that the foot shouldn't fall apart. The chayes in the hand speaks for chayes of talent and capability of all kinds of wisdom, completely different chayes. So this is what it says, that sechel has pnimis and chitzenius. Chitzenius also, this is the proper way to do it, it's obviously. But then one goes to the depths and to the pnimis of it. What's behind it? To the neshama essence that is manifest in this particular activity. To the extent that I eat physical food to fill my belly. No, I eat so that I would live. It's a completely different, unrelated function, it would seem, two different worlds. It's what pnimius and chitzenius. And in every a sechel, once it comes on the sechel, it has to have details, and the oil has sechel. In each one of these details, it differs from the other. Again, like in all things, suffice with this. There's obviously more that can be said, but at this point, suffice with this. This is just one detail of the whole presentation here. That sechel is chalkus, can be subdivided in different elements, components. Rotzen does not have components. Rotzen is one rotzen in throughout. Because rotzen is the life of the nefesh. Similarly, the midas that are built api hasechel on the basis of sechel, yesh bohem kamo his chalkus. In these midas there will be many subdivisions. From his pashto said hamidas b'chol prat. In the manner that the oil hamida expresses itself in every prat of the midah. Or k'moy, for example, or avo shal pitam v'das. Ahavo, which is a midah, shal pitam v'das, that has a seichel underpinning, underwriting. Harei bo behagbol. That ahavo shal pitam v'das has an element of hadbolo, an end point. This is justifying as far as this is concerned. The sechel is not. That ahava, does not demand the need for Mesiras Nefesh. It stops short by Mesiras Nefesh. Even though it's ahava, and it's a midah of ahava that really touches the person, but it has its inherent limit. The ahava itself is mugbelas bozeh, is circumscribed and limited b'zeh in this. And that is that when it comes to Mesiras Nefesh, the ahava is no longer justified. As long as this is something which allows me to experience the ahava, that makes sense. But once Mesiras Nefesh, which means I am it completely out of the picture, then the ahava no longer is justified. This is it for this morning.
Earlier by sechel, so we mentioned Hagbola. And then further we say V'chein it's Bobby's Chalkus.
V'chein what?
It's Bobby's Chalkus. And then by Midas we say that it's B's Chalkus. And then we bring a raya for Hagbola.
Because it's talking about the same thing. The Midas are Pitam B'das. The Hagbola is based on the sechel. Because the midah is created by the sechel, that's why it has hagbola. That's why it has different qualities. All right. So this week, tomorrow, hopefully we still have a shir, but then afterwards, Wednesday, and up until I believe next week, Tuesday, I'm going to be away.
Kidas